Okay, so Todd has a question, and maybe someone else might know this in our on our call. The EDRV abbreviation. And we think it's something that's related to earnest money, but we can't find anything useful on Google. Are you building out someone's account for them and they've got like a date field that has EDRV? Maybe it's earnest deposit. I don't know. I'm trying to make up words now. Let's see. See if I can search for it. EDRV real estate. Meaning circulate first EDRV to seller closing. Interesting. I see EDV, which means all leases and all lands together with all product. Here, I can I'll pull this up so you guys can see what I'm getting on my search results. I just typed in this in real estate. Electronic certification of real estate value. That's ECRV, not EDRV. Maybe they mean electronic document of real estate. This is the only one that I'm finding that might be, it's about assets, EDV, but it doesn't have that R in front of it. I am not sure. This would actually probably be a great question to post. Or yeah, I know you're saying earnest deposit receipt V. I'd probably say post it in our Facebook group. Because obviously we're good on the system, but I think that asking on the Facebook group, I'd probably post it on the Facebook group and see if anyone else received CVD. Kelly, you can go ahead and unmute and explain to me what what your cryptic messages mean. Trying to understand. Yeah, definitely. I would ask the next person that you meet with who asked you to put it in. Oh, yes, Kelly.
And then the first thing I thought of is RV when I thought of like recreation vehicle, but I know that's not it. My other thought after that was then when you said earnest deposit receipt, maybe it's received, not receipt, and earnest deposit received. And they're usually I do RCVD or RC apostrophe D, but I know we can't do apostrophe, so I did RCVD, but I separated the earnest deposit, the ED or EMD, and then put it. I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, possibly. Earnest money received voucher, maybe. Hannah, we're just trying to figure out what the abbreviation EDRV means. For the Facebook group, I'm referring to the one that's like our Facebook group, like the one that is, created and run by Open to Close. The one where Andrew's usually posting on, or it's our official Facebook group. I want to say I have the link. Kelly, actually, do you have the link for it? And I can share it, or if you want to, I can make it so that you can share it in the chat. There we go. If you want to share it in the chat, that specific one. It could be earnest money received voucher, but I'm just reading the line that you had said, and it said circulate first EDRV to seller closing co and CC and BG agent. And I'm like, first, that would make it sound like there was multiple, right? I wonder if it's a specific like document or some sort of disclosure that's specific to the state. Okay, which is the Bardos group. Yeah, I'd probably ask Jake, whoever you're working with that's building out. That'd probably be your best bet. to go through and do that, just because, again, I'm not sure. Awesome. Thank you for posting that. Yeah, so Kelly just posted the link in the chat for the Facebook group that we're referring to. I don't know if I can open it up. I don't have a Facebook, so I might not be able to. Here we go. But this is the Facebook group that we're referring to. It's the open to close specific one. It's got our main page image up at the top. Yeah, of course. It's a really great place. We actually got a couple questions on there that we can review today if we don't have. Oh, you don't have Facebook either? Yeah, Todd. Well, maybe we can post about it and we can ask about it in our Facebook group and just see, if anyone else has an idea of it, and then, we can get back to you from there. Kelly, if you want to make a note of that, that'd be great. We could post it on the Facebook and see, if anyone else is familiar with that terminology. But if we, like I said, feel free, pile in your guys' questions as they come up. I do have a couple topics that we can talk about today, some stuff that happened on the Facebook that might be kind of curious, or things that you guys might want to look at in your guys' own system. So one of the questions was, can someone tell me how to set up my templates or settings so that the colors on my properties and listing details are automatically colored like they are in the picture? I'm assuming they're talking about a photo of open to close. So when we're talking about having specific field details have colors, yeah, Todd, that is one unfortunate thing with the task templates. It does remove any sort of what it considers as special characters, which includes hyphens. It could also, I believe, include quotations in some regard too. I think it just strips it of anything and just enters it in as what's it called, blank words. We would need to do some testing to see all of the characters that aren't available. But it's definitely something that we should review because hyphens are kind of important. But as for that question, it's basically they're asking, for the fields, how do I get it that they have fancy colors like this, by default? How do I have it that these colors are on here? Now, if you guys are, the first thing that you would want to double check is you'd want to see what plan you were on. So double check that you're either on the Pro plan or the Scale plan, and you're going to have the ability to set those colors preset on the back end in your field editor. If you are on the Grow plan, you can change the colors, but you change them on the property themselves. So you'd go to the property. Here's seller concessions. I'm going to click on that field. I'm going to make it green and press update, and then it's going to make that green. So that would be like going in and manually making it every single time. However, if you're on the Pro or the Scale plan, or if you're on the Premium add-on plan, because I know we've got a couple people who are still on that pricing plan, you can head into your field editor either by going down to the hammer icon and going into field editor, or if you're on the property, you can also select editor, and that'll take you to that field editor. From here, what you're going to want to do is select that field. We've got the color option on, I believe, this side, so table color. Here I can say that I want it to be yellow. What this will do is it'll make it yellow by default if no options have been selected. So if I go back to, let's go to our Ivy Lane, and I press manage, and I add on client, and I update that field, and I don't have it filled out, it's going to be yellow. Now, when I select an option, I'm going to go ahead and select Kelly and check mark that. It'll stay yellow. If we wanted to make it that, well, when I select Kelly, I need it to change a different color. I want it to go from yellow and I want it to go to blue. What we would want to do is not only make sure our table background color is selected for that particular field, but for the options, right? The options that we can select, we would want to select a color here too. So we can make Kelly blue, we'll make Jill pink, and we'll make Hannah yellow. And now that we have those updated, you can select update if you'd like to, just to make sure it's really updated. But when we update those colors, if you notice, I'm going to change it to this. It says color was updated. It will automatically update and save those colors. It's always a good practice to say, I understand an update. When it closes, that means that those fields are good. They're definitely updated now. After this point, I can go out of my field editor, go back to this property. And when I change this option from Kelly to Hannah, you can see the colors are already highlighted there. And I give that check mark, it's going to update that color to yellow. If I change it to Kelly, it'll change it to blue. And if I change it to Jill, it'll change it to pink. And if I change it back to blank, it'll take us back to that yellow. So again, if you're on that pro plan, this is a great tool to use. Recently, I've had a couple clients who are making that transition from the, the grow plan and either going up to the pro plan or going up to the scale plan. And something that I would suggest is that if you're using fields like the intake questions, right, and you're having specific smart blocks work with those intake questions, I like to suggest that for those fields that are using those smart blocks, have a color associated with them. So I would say that the normal color of it should be red. And then if an option is selected, you make that green. So here we're making, will there be an inspection, red by default? And then when yes is selected, it turns green. And the reason I suggest this is because when we start talking about an easy way to see whether or not we're going to meet the conditions or not, if we have these options set up like this, when we're on that property, going to go back to that Ivy Lane, if I ever needed to double check whether or not information was going to come on or not, and let me see, I might need to refresh and reselect these options here. Let me go ahead and just reselect them just so that they refresh. Because again, this is a property that's already been created. But the reason I like the idea of doing something like this is that if you guys are trying to validate your smart blocks, what I would do is anytime you're using logic for any of those smart blocks, will there be an innate, will there be a inspection? Is there an HOA? If you have a color coordinated with it, right? Then what you can do is when you're going through and you're like, the smart block didn't populate. Let me go make sure that all of my fields are updated appropriately, right? Here you can see, oh, well, they're marked as green. So that means that, these meet the parameters. This smart block should populate. And if it's red, so I'm going to go to, is there an HOA? And we say blank. And now it's red, right? And we go to check out that. Let's go ahead and see our intro email for our buyer. Intro email for buyer. When I inspect it and I scroll down, that HOA block is red, right? So it's kind of like a quick way for us to know, oh, you know what? Is there an HOA that's related to that smart block that I have? And if I need it to have, this value on here, that color coordination can be a really quick way of going, oh yeah, inspection. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's good. Oh, is there an HOA? There's not an HOA. So I don't need this smart block, right? Or maybe there is an HOA. And so you need to update that value, change it to yes, it's green. So now when you go check out that email, going to go back down to our intro email to our buyer. I believe it's this one. Cool. Now, when we scroll down there, that merge field's no longer missing. So it's kind of a way to just like really make sure your fields are, you're staying on top of your fields. And I found that this has been really helpful for a lot of people who are new users who are like, I'm a new user, but I want to get into the scale account right away. Having your fields have that color coordination can be very helpful for you to know if there's a smart block related to it or not, right? So another example would be appraisal scheduled equal to yes, right? We might have it that when it's equal to yes, it's green. When it's green, that means that a specific smart block comes on, or it could mean that a specific trigger is ready to go out. We could say that if it's red, I'm just going to change it to no and say red. Well, we can have it say that when we know it's, no, when we see that really quickly, we know that specific triggers aren't going to fire off or conditions aren't going to be met until we say that, yes, it has been scheduled. So it's just kind of some high level strategy when it comes to adding in that color coordination. It's a tool that is very powerful that we don't utilize too much just because, again, most people are starting out on that grow plan. Cool. The other question that we kind of had with this was holidays. Again, if you guys are looking to add in holidays, I'm going to double check our pricing plan and see if, okay, wonderful. So edit add federal holidays is available on all of the plans, Grow, Pro, and Scale plan. To add in those holidays, if you guys are missing holidays, because I know like the Friday or the day after Thanksgiving is not set up as a federal holiday, but most people have it off, right? That's pretty standard. If you need to add in any additional holidays, you're going to head down to that gear icon, head into your global settings. Once you're in your global settings, at the very bottom underneath organization settings, we have federal holidays. And then here you can add in those federal holidays. So here you can see the list of federal holidays I currently have. This one says the fourth Thursday in November. I can add on a new one, choosing an exact date if I'd like to, popping in, the variable if I need to, whatever that looks like, and saying which date I'm referring to, if I need to. We always know that if this is the fourth Thursday in November, then we know that when we set up our day after Thanksgiving is going to be the fourth Friday in November, right? Because if this is the fourth Thursday, then this would be the fourth Friday. Oh, looks like I didn't get that that naming convention on here. I haven't had too much experience with playing around with this just because I haven't had the need to add in any dates. But are there any questions regarding adding in the dates, or any dates that we want to add in and kind of test out today? Cool. So again, after I add in that here, I've said that it's the fourth day in November. Here I can update if anything lands on, Saturday or Sunday, right? That's related to this. When do we want it to do it? Do we want it to roll backwards or roll forwards? I'm going to say do nothing right now because I don't think we need to do anything. Yeah, no worries, Todd. And I know that there's been some more discussion about how we can use some of these days, or how some of these days can be used in other ways. We're always looking to kind of grow and expand our tools. So we've definitely investigated into some of these, because I know that in some places, if you're in a specific state, you might have a holiday that's specific to that state that needs to be factored in. But if it's a different state, then that holiday doesn't, right? And so we're kind of looking into the different ways that we can have it, that we can kind of encompass the dates that we need to, and what that looks like for us. I think our next question, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, we get a lot of questions on like what happens when we get that non-authenticated error here. I'm going to pop it up for you guys. This would be if, you've connected to Google and then you've disconnected and then you've reconnected it to Google, the same account or a different account, right? So if we went through the stages of like, oh, you know what, I want to disconnect my email, disconnect Google, Google's been disconnected, token's been, removed. If I go back over to our apps and API and I try to just reauthorize it, right? And I just say connect, it's not going to work. We're going to run into a bit of an issue. I think that that's been a pretty common one. Most people think that they can just connect right away and boom, they'll be able to go back in and see their emails populate here. The problem is that when we disconnect, we're removing it, but we're not removing all of the permissions. And when we reconnect, we're technically using like an outdated permission set. So we have a specific link that we use to get to a specific area in Google to be able to update the to be able to update the like the permission set for it. I'm going to grab that really quickly because I know it's something recently. Oh, I'm going to have to grab. Sorry, I'm looking for the link that I don't have it saved because I don't usually need to pull this specific link up. But it's a specific link that we can send to you guys where you're going to go and you're going to remove that access to open to close, or you're going to remove it from your Google account and then you're going to add it back on there. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So we will share this link with you guys. That's going to take you to a specific area, your third-party apps and services. You can technically search for it in your Google account. You would just want to open up your Google account, manage your Google account, and then search for third-party apps and services if you wanted to search for it yourself. Or again, like I said, you can reach out to us. Here where it says open to close, we're going to want to first disconnect that email. So we'll disconnect the email, make sure that that's removed completely. Head over onto our third-party apps and services, click on open to close. And then we'll want to scroll to the bottom and say delete the connection with open to close. We'll say confirm. Once that's been deleted, then we'll want to reattach that. We don't need to, we can skip the steps that are here. We're just going to go straight down to the bottom, say I've whitelisted, and say connect. Once we do that, it's going to say, do you want to give permission and sign in? We'll say yes. Here it's asking us for permission. We're going to say allow. Once we say allow, now that connection has been refreshed, properly refreshed, and should pull in those values. So if I go over to our email now, it'll load my messages and it'll actually load my personal inbox here. I am going to go ahead and disconnect and reconnect because there's no need for my personal inbox to be on this test account, but it's a good thing to kind of show you guys again, like you're either going to want to reach out to us or you can search for your third-party apps and add that on there. But anytime you make a disconnect and reconnect, you're going to want to whitelist, you're going to want to go through, or you're going to want to go through and remove the permissions from here and then add them back on when you say connect to Google. And I'm going to let this do this thing. Cool. Looks like we've got a question. Curious about best practices in organizing email templates. I've done the listing side so far, but I have a ton of email templates. Thoughts on additional breakdowns, seller, listing, initial transaction, post-closing comms, etc. So it kind of just depends. I'll go ahead and show you guys what I have for my email templates right now. So hammer icon into templates, defaults on our email templates. The way that I have this one set up right now is I have them grouped together, but when they're grouped together, so for example, main under contract emails, OTC2, this is just another version of our pre-built account. Clicking on it here, you can see that it's got that B in front of it. That B stands for buyer. It also has it in the name of it, but not all of them have the name of it, right? This one says Earnest Money's missing, B for buyer. I know that this is for my buyer. So this could be another way that you could have it sorted is keep it more like this is the process. And these are all the emails that are associated with that process, seller side and buyer side together, and then using naming conventions to alter it. I know that we've, our team has been talking about like other ways that we can do categorizations that are a little bit more so, right? I've seen some requests like, could we add in a color coordination with it, or could we add in, you know, some other way to filter it down even more? Just because again, as you guys start to grow, if you guys start to find yourselves expanding into other states, you're probably going to have emails that are specific to those states, right? And you're going to have emails that are specific to those states that deal with the buyer side, the seller side, and the listing, right? So your system starts to get larger. Kind of thing. But this is one way that you could do it. If you find yourself getting too granular and you're like, well, I go to my, you know, let's say I go to my seller's listing initialization and you've only got 2 email templates on there underneath there, it might be easier for you to go, you know, say like listing process emails and have anything that's listing underneath there. And then, like I said, main under contract emails, and then all of your main under contract emails underneath there. Like I said, I usually use this sort templates to put it in an order that's going to make the most sense to me. So right now it's intro email to buyer. On the seller side, the first one is the send preliminary settlement statement for seller. But maybe I want it to be intro email to buyer, and then below that, I want my intro email to seller. Right, so you can see intro email to buyer, intro email to seller. So sometimes it might make sense to have them listed that way as well. It really just depends on what you need. On JBG, I have templates broken down by seller, buyer, and rental. We don't have that many email templates for BGM, starting off exclusively using email templates. This is going to get out of hand. Yeah. And yep. I completely agree. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Cause you know, they're going to start growing and growing. There's going to be a lot of email templates in there. Yeah. I mean, this, like I said, this has been a pretty successful way that we've handled it. We obviously had it in a different way in V1 of the pre-built. This is one that this is like version 2 essentially that we've been working on of another way to kind of organize things. So this is what I might suggest for that, is making it simplistic in this way, where you're saying these are all of the appraisal emails, buyer and seller. I just have them delineated out by either a B or an S. So one way that you could do it. I also have it down here for like if implementation team creates any email templates specifically, or the sales team, or the support team, and they need to see their specific, tested ones. Cool. Any other questions? We're pretty quiet today. We don't have too many people. Is there anything that you guys wanted to kind of focus on? Anything that's like, I've been working on this part of my system and I'm not really sure where to go from here, or, how, Hannah, would you build out X, Y, and Z? Oh, no worries, Todd. We've got more people than you. A couple more people joined. But it is a really, really light class today, which is kind of a benefit to you guys. Like I said, you can literally ask about if you want to see any part of the system and we want to go like in depth on a part of the system today, just let me know. Cool. All right, well, I'll talk about some of the support that we have in Open to Close while you guys are thinking about it. If you guys want to post, this is what I've been working on recently. This is the pain points that I've had recently, or these are some of the successes that I have, because even you sharing your successes can be a benefit to other users on our system. You could be like, hey, I figured out this way to send out my emails and it really worked well for me. This is how I did it. I love to share strategy like that from our clients with everyone as well. But as for support, if you guys are looking for it on our main webpage, if you guys want to chat with us, you can by using that chat icon here at the bottom, or you can email us at help@open-to-close. If you're looking for more webinars like today's webinar or the webinar that we had earlier, you can head to our Learn tab and click on webinars. Here we've got a list of our webinars coming up. Today we just completed tasks and triggers. We're on Wednesday workshop. Next Tuesday, we're going to be going over Documents 101. And then on November 1st, we're going to be going over settings and integrations. So if there are any specific settings and integrations that you guys want to see on that call, definitely feel free to either chat it in. You can post about it on Facebook, or you can even share it with us on Documents 101, in the chat. You can just, or in QA, you can say, hey, for tomorrow's settings and integration call, I would really love to see how DocuSign works, or I'd really love to see how Dotloop works. Then we can set up those particular what do they call them? Free trials. That way we can kind of go through it. Because I know DocuSign allows you to create like a 30-day free trial. So we don't always have them ready, but if you tell us ahead of time, this is what I want to see, we can set that up for you guys too. The following week after that, we've got our intake forms and property templates, and then using Open to Close. Cool. Looks like we got a question. I haven't set up Stripe yet, but we are about to set it up. Can you show me some tips and tricks? We are trying to charge an upfront fee for intake for specific agents. What are the best practices? Great question. So first things first, obviously, that Stripe integration. I'm just going to go to our pricing plan again. I'm going to keep it easy for myself and type in Stripe. That way we can see what it's available on. So Stripe integration looks like it's available on all plans. So Grow, Pro, and Scale plan. For V1, which I don't think you're on V1, Autumn, but I'm just going to double check. We'll go to V1 and we'll type in Stripe again. Okay, it looks like Stripe is only available if you have that premium add-on plan. Okay, so if you're on V1, you're on the first version pricing and you're paying $69 plus that $99 additionally, the premium add-on plan, that's when you're going to be able to collect Stripe payments. If you're just on the premium plan, which is that $69 per month, this one, you do not have access to Stripe just yet. So I like to kind of touch on that first. Now, as for setting that up, first things first, obviously, we're going to want to set up that Stripe integration in Open to Close. So going through and authorizing it and going through the steps there. Once you're done with that, if we're ready to set up our agents, we're going to want to head down to our organization and users. We can head over to agents and we can either select our agents here. So we can select, for example, Justin, head to forms, and then we can update what we're going to be charging them here. I believe we can also do it underneath intake forms. So if you've got like 15 agents, right? I'm going to that intake form, going down to assigned agents. Here underneath assigned agents, here we can see all of the agents who are on that intake form, who have access to that intake form. This might be easier, again, like I said, if you have multiple agents. I only have 2 right now. So for me, it might make sense to go directly to them to see what they have access to and update them. It's the same thing with you, Autumn. If it's specific people that you're going to be charging, I would head to organization and users, select that particular agent and set them up on each intake form that they have access to. If you're dealing with a large list of agents and you're like, let me just set up the prices for my buyer's intake form, head over to your templates, head over to your intake form, click on that particular intake form, head to assign agents, and then you can set up, here's for Justin, here's for test OTC. Okay. So in your case, like I said, let's go down the pipeline as if you were doing it for just that one agent, the specific agent. I'm going to charge Justin. He doesn't actually work with us. I want to charge him separately. Now, when it comes to charging them, it's going to depend on which one they have. And they're also going to want to make sure that they have a credit card on file. Okay. So that's one thing that I would say when you're onboarding your new agents into here. I would say the first thing that they need to do is they need to set up and share their information, right? Share their integration and their API keys, whatever that looks like. And also make sure that they add on a card that you can charge so that they can use those intake forms. Here, submit price. That's the one that you're going to want to do if they need to pay before they fill out that intake form. This is upfront, right? So client must prepay to submit intake form. Whatever value you put here, that's the value that it's going to ask to charge them before they can fill out that intake form. Again, like I said, they're going to want to have that credit card on file. We'll go to Justin's profile. We'll log in him in just a moment, but here we'd pop in our price. So let's go ahead and I can just say like 500 for this one. Let's say for our buyer residential, we want to say it's 1,000. And again, I'm just popping in values, whatever makes sense to you guys, you can do it. Dropping 1,000 for that one too. Now to get into Justin's profile to see what it looks like, I'm going to click on organizations. I'm going to go back to agents and I'm going to impersonate Justin. Now, I don't have a Stripe integration set up, so it might not look exactly like how it'll look in your system, but that's how you set up the price. Here, obviously, whenever you onboard new agents, I always suggest have them add in their credentials, right? This is going to be if they use Follow Up Boss or Dotloop or DocuSign or SkySlope or Brokerment. Any of the integrations that we integrate with, have them added in here. If there are integrations that we don't integrate with, like, for example, KW Command, oh gosh, I can't even think of any of the other ones that we don't integrate with except for KW Command. Any other ones that you might need access to, have them enter in their passwords here. This is encrypted. They won't be able to edit it after they submit it, and we keep it encrypted. That way we don't have to worry about any security issues. But have them add in their credentials and then also have them add on a card. So when you go to card, it's gonna, again, I don't have this organization set up for it, but it's going to have them enter in their details for their card, similar to how you entered in your details when you signed up for a trial with Open to Close. So the screen looks very similar. They'll say save. And then when they go to actually use that intake form, here you can see how much it costs. That payment has to be set up, right? See set default payment method. That needs to be set up first. And then this will make it that they have to pay that fee up front. And then you can go on with it. You can also have it require a fee afterwards. So maybe you do partial payments. They pay you $100 to get it in there. And then after, you've gone through and you've taken that intake form, then maybe afterwards there's another charge, right? If we head back over into our organization and users, into our agents, click on Justin, and we go to forms, this submitted prices for when they initially try to pay, the invoice prices for afterwards. So let's say the initial deposit is only $100. For all across the board, only $100. And again, when we are purple, we want to press enter, make sure that goes to gray or white. Purple, press enter, make sure that goes to gray or white. So maybe it's 100 deposit up front. And then after the fact, there's a different price. We can enter in that different price. So after the fact for a new listing, when we go under contract, this is how much it's going to be. Or when we are about to close, it's going to actually be, 2,000. Did I put 200? My cursor was in the way. It's going to actually be 2,000. And so here, this would be after the fact if we wanted to charge them, right? So on the property, after we're done with that, once we've received that intake form, we've approved it, we're running through it. If we want to charge them the additional amount after the fact on that property, we're going to head to our little more, and we're going to go to process payment. And then here again, if they had a card on file, this one doesn't, they had a card on file, you'd be able to process that payment, or you'd be able to see any payment that has already been received. So this is where you could double check, did they pay, what amount did they pay? Maybe I need to send them a copy of the receipt. Cool. Let me know if there are any more questions about that Stripe integration. Yeah, of course. I know that obviously it's a little empty because you can't exactly see what it looks like because I don't have that Stripe integration set up. But those are all the main places that you're going to want to set up. Those are some like kind of tips and tricks on how you can set it up and the ease of it. It just kind of depends on what makes the most sense for you guys. Cool. Any other questions like that? Maybe parts, features that you guys were curious about, you haven't seen yet, or you want a sneak peek of? Cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, we're at, it's 37 minutes into the meeting. We can definitely wait until 11:40, see if there's any other people that trickle in or if there are any other questions that come to mind. But other than that, that's really all I have for you guys today, as far as for, questions and things that have come up this week. Like I said, a lot of it's been, that Google integration that gets a little sticky, and it makes sense. A lot of people are still trying to figure out how they're handling their Google integration. On last Wednesday workshop, I was talking about how you can add in those the other aliases for yourself in there, and so that's kind of something that we've been talking about. Is there a master list item? I can't figure out how to update. Unfortunately, I can't remember which one. Master list item. Are you referring to the fields, Todd? Because okay, so I kind of do this as this is like a sneaky tip that I use. Sometimes when you're looking at your fields, it is overwhelming, right? You go over to your field editor and you're like, I've got all of these fields here. I have to head over to the different field groups to see the other fields. I have to head over to my intake questions to see these. Sometimes this can be a little overwhelming, especially if you're looking to see, okay, what do I have that's specifically for HOA? I don't want to have to toggle through all of these fields, right? Something that I've been doing recently to say, okay, well, how much do I have? I'll head down into templates. I'll head down into new import, and then I'll select fields. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll select properties. There we go. When I select properties, it's going to show me all of the fields that are currently in my system. So I could type in here, I could do Control F, type in HOA, and now I get to see all of my HOA fields, even if they're not in the same field section. Okay. So this is kind of great. It's like a quick tip on how to update that. For contract roles, yeah, so for contact roles, I would just head into your filters, right? So from the dashboard, hammer icon, filters, contact roles, here's all those contact roles. When you update them here, they do update across the board. So if I add in buyer Baker, it's going to say buyer Baker for all my other merge fields. It should update that automatically. If you're not seeing that, then definitely reach out to us. That way we can take a peek. But here's where you find those buyer, those contact roles. If you're looking for like person roles, as in like party members, team members, that kind of thing, we're going to head down to our gear icon and go into organization and users. Once we're on there, we're going to go to teams, and then we're going to click on users on one of the teams. And then here we can see the roles, and we can click on roles. And then now we can either add roles or edit the roles. And these are going to be like, these are the particular roles that this party member takes care of, right? So for example, this particular one, I'm going to go back to users. So teams, clicking on users, community team, this particular person takes care of compliance, documents, emails, listing coordinator, team lead, and transaction coordinator. If I need to add on more roles, I'll click on roles. Here are the rest of those roles. I can just select the ones that I need to add on, and I can say, go back. And it'll show me that that's now updated: admin, admin assistant, and intake specialist. Or if I need to edit the roles, let's say I needed to add on another one, I can select edit roles. And then here I can add on additional roles. So this would be, again, if for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And some of this stuff is really just like, it's difficult to, that you have it, right? It's somewhere in the system. Maybe you've been looking at your tasks and you've been trying to figure out where it is. But yeah, this would be where you'd be finding how to edit those specific roles. Now, I want to say you can edit the roles on the task templates themselves. So let's go take a look in just a moment. But this is where you would go to add on those roles to that particular person. This is a person, not just a, what's it called? This is community team. This is me. This is who I'm logging in as. Here we can select our other team members. If I add support on here and I say add, I'm going to want to click on roles and add the roles to them as well, or edit the roles if I need to add on more. If I need to remove them, when I go to delete them, I'm going to need to say I'm reassigning everything back to that community manager, even if I haven't assigned anything. This is just to make sure that there's nothing on support, right? We don't want anything to be deleted. So on our tasks, because that's where those roles really come into play, right? The roles that are assigned to our team members. When we go to our task templates, I'm going to head down to our hammer icon, into templates, into task templates. Here's the main buyer one. We'll go and expand the view. When we're talking about the roles here, it looks like we can clear the roles, but we can't add on additional ones. So yeah, this might have been where you were trying to like add on roles, say this is the party members, right? That can take care of this task, but we haven't, maybe we needed to add on more. So yeah, it looks like here we can only clear them. So yeah, cool. Are there any other parts of the system that people are like, I saw this one feature once. I don't know where it is. No worries, Todd. I know that we really appreciate you guys always reaching out to us and support and asking us about anything when it comes to like the system and stuff like that. My team, they obviously love talking with you guys. So no worries. You're not driving anyone crazy, I promise you. If there's no other questions, we're about the 15-minute mark, close to it, 2 minutes off. We can go ahead and end for today. If anything comes up after the fact, maybe you tried to go into your system and try to figure out where the roles were. Yeah, of course, Todd, thank you. And you guys were like, I don't know where to go from here. Definitely feel free. Like I said, you can chat with us anytime you guys need to. You can email us at help@open2close. If you guys are seeing like an error or maybe permissions are locked or you can't go to access a certain area, feel free to send us a loom. Those ones are always helpful because then we can see exactly where you're clicking and we can kind of help you walk through it, right? Because sometimes that's easier. Just like we'll probably send you a loom back of your system and where to go to find what you're looking for. Cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully I will see you guys on our next Wednesday workshop. If not, I hope I see you guys on the webinars. And if not, we hope that you join the Facebook group if you want to. Other than that, I will talk with you guys later. Bye, Todd. See you later.